All right, my friends, I'm so sorry for the tardiness here. We just tried to go live over several different platforms at once and it did not work. So I'm not too sure what's happening there. No big deal. We purposely were ready with another stream here, so on YouTube only. So if you're on Facebook, you're not hearing me right now, okay? Welcome. Friends, what we're doing today is I'm going to be taking your questions live in real time. This is a 30-day challenge kickoff. So not only I'll be answering some questions that folks have about the Blues Rhythm Mastery course that's ending at midnight tonight, 67% off. I can tell you about all that if you're interested. Otherwise, what this hour is dedicated to is, number one, getting your questions answered, getting you beyond the hump of that believing that you can't play guitar, believing that you have some sort of blank, whatever excuse as to why it is that you can't play guitar. I'm here to help you with that. I'm here to help you with the psychology of that, help you with understanding the first bits and pieces here. Take advantage in the chat. Let's see. Yeah, in the chat you'll see I've got a link both to the course and to both courses. Okay, the blues course and the 30-day challenge course, what we affectionately call UGS Standard Guided, because it's a guided step-by-step system. You literally can't mess up. I can promise you. Get in this program. It's absolutely free. It's my gift to you. I've had hundreds of thousands of people go through this already. If you just do that, if you want to play guitar, 36 of the most powerful guitar lessons you're ever going to watch that are going to last you forever. It's yours to keep for free. Nothing, I don't get anything for it. Just giving that, my gift to you. If you go through that in the steps that I tell you, I can promise you that in 30 days, you will be playing guitar to the extent that you're going to know some stuff. In fact, you're going to know a lot more than some people who've been playing for decades, because I've literally had folks get into that program and go, why didn't anybody ever teach me blank or blank or blank? Because that's helped me out so much, okay? So what happens is people pick up the guitar, they just start playing. We all do it, and because we can do lots of stuff by ear, and then by doing that, nothing wrong with that, sometimes we don't know what we don't know, and then we run into troubles later on, and then we're like, well, I don't understand. I know how to play guitar, and yet you weren't shown certain things because we just picked it up and started playing by ear, right? I get it. We've all done it. That's why I created this program, okay? After literally over 10,000 one-on-one lessons, I created this course because I'm like, I gotta help people out. I'm running into hundreds of people here in my local city here who are coming to me. There's gotta be millions of people out there. And of course, I've reached millions of people now. So that's what this is all about. I'm here to answer your questions. And so let's go, let's jump into it, okay? Okay, here we go. And so right out of the gate here, I can't play guitar, now you can too, which is my favorite avatar name. Is the blues course going to be part of UGS Pro, or is this a standalone lesson for purchase only? It is not going to be a part of UGS Pro. It's its own course. It's a standalone. If you like the way that I teach in UGS Pro, and I do teach some blues in there, then this is a great complement to it if you are a blues player. But it's not going to be in UGS Pro. It's not have any plans on being a Udemy course at any time. Or at least no time soon, okay? It's like this has been a long time in the making. We've been concentrating on other things, but I've had enough people ask me about this blues rhythm course and creating one that I'm like, I've got to just create this course because enough people are asking about it, and that's what this is all about. So, all right, hello, hello, hello. I see a lot of familiar faces in here. What is the model of your guitar? This is a Gibson SJ200. It's known as the king of the flat tops. So it's a jumbo body. I first played one of these in 1990 when I moved to Nashville, and a buddy of mine had a 1969, which is the year I was born, had one of these, and it played. I fell in love with it. It was such a beautiful big guitar that I fell in love with it, and I said, I'm going to get one of those one day, and I finally did. Okay, hey, why does my fretting hand look bad, but I can play really well? It just doesn't look cool, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, friend. And also, when you say my fretting hand looks bad. What does that mean? You know what I mean? My wife will come out and say, I look terrible. And I'll say, you look amazing. What are you even talking about? So I don't even know what she's talking about. She looks amazing. So in the same way here, sometimes you can think that something is something that it's actually not. So don't worry about it, all right? Because seriously, our brain tells us a lot of things that are not true. So don't worry about it. If it sounds great, you know, music is an aural, right? Aural sport. It's not a visual sport, right? So don't worry about it, okay? There you go. All right, but let's talk about fretting here for just a moment. So if you've got questions about the blues, we can talk about that. I got my Strat set up, and I've got some blues tracks and those sorts of things. We can talk about blues rhythm, all that good stuff. What I do want to do, though, is I do want to concentrate on the 30-day challenge, helping you guys out, take advantage of that, and I want to help you through any bits and pieces, okay? So, and in regards to the fretting hand, that is something that that I want to address, because a lot of folks have issues with that. In fact, that's typically the more it's the more troublesome area, but both picking and fretting hand. Eric is saying the blues course is a no-brainer, plus his money-back guarantee. This is also a way to support Eric for giving us so much content and afford him to do more in the future. Thank you, Eric. So sweet. Kind of you. Thank you, buddy. Oh, good. Morse is saying, my absolute entry to playing guitar was on your channel. Your entry-level program changed my life for the better. Yay! I absolutely love playing guitar, and you have given me the foundation. Beautiful. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. And I got someone taking a Udemy course. What do you do once you're done with that? Well, number one, there's over 300 videos in there. So if you're doing it right, you know, if you're really taking the time, I don't really like those to speak in terms like that in absolutes, because it's usually not absolute or black and white. So once you go through that, there's many different paths you can go. I mean, the Unstoppable Guitar System is, even though the complete guitar system there in Udemy is, as far as I understand, in regards to how many students it has, is the #1 guitar lesson course in the world. So congratulations for doing that. You picked right. But that being said, it's about 1/3 the size in regards to lessons, all jam tracks, everything else that's inside of the Unstoppable Guitar System. So once you're done with that, if you want to delve in deeper, go to the Unstoppable Guitar System. If you're like, Eric, I don't want to spend another thing again, the complete guitar system is great for me, but I still want to learn more. Great. I've got over 1,300 videos on YouTube, so we can do that. Ah, dang it. I meant to turn that air conditioner off. I'm going to do that. I know this is like unprofessional, but shoot, I got to do it. I got to turn that air off, because that's going to drive you guys nuts. So hang in with me 1 second there while I do that, okay? Hang in there. What's also unprofessional is not being able to hear, because you got a AC blaring away there, okay? All right, so good. That'll turn off here in a minute, all right? Okay, so yeah, that's what you want to do, my friend, is that once you're done with that, you can come into UGS, and like I said, I also have many, many lessons here on YouTube, okay? Bruno's saying, I just noodle on backings, and I try hard to find the right notes by ear. Coming out of a bad coma, it's just like therapy to me. Wow, that's amazing, Bruno. Keep inspiring. Beautiful. Yeah, so, you know, what Bruno's saying is he just puts backing tracks on and plays. I had a friend back home, one of the best guitar players I've ever known. His ear was so good, and he was just such a great player, a buddy of mine. And I asked him how he practiced, and this was way back in the day, before YouTube and everything else, and backing tracks that you could get a hold of and what have you. So he would just put on the radio and start noodling. That's how he got good, and his ear was amazing. All right? Exactly. Practice, practice, practice. Okay. Okay. but going through it and find myself more inclined toward the blues. Well then, Cameron, you know, if I have a course that's available today, you'll see it at the beginning of the thread. It's also in the description of this video. It's going away today, literally going away today. I mean, obviously we'll sell it again sometime in the future, but it's not like it's going to be available on the website. It's going away today. It's 67% off. It's 3.5 hours of guitar lessons, 120 backing tracks with the rhythm guitar taken out. There's visual jam tracks, PDF support, you know, tabs, GPX files, 9 hours, I forgot about this, 9 hours of live support with me to guide you through all this, okay? So take advantage of that. You'll see that at the beginning of the chat thread, also in the description of this video, okay? Brian's saying, I've struggled with strumming. I see professional strumming hand doesn't stop up and down, yet they may only hit a note up and down, then a full chord on the upstroke. How should I practice? Great question, Brian. Let's talk about that, because strumming is fundamental in the beginning. And this is one of the areas, one of, say, like 5 areas, but probably top 3 that people have struggles with. So I would love to talk about this with you, Brian. We could talk about higher level stuff if you want to, but at the end of the day, if you can't strum, this is why I emphasize so much the importance of foundations, right? If you can't strum, I don't care what level it's at, you know? Someone might say, well, that's at a beginner level. Well, I don't care what level it's at. If you can't do it, you can't do it, and that's not good. We gotta fix that, right? That's like someone not wanting to learn the basics of driving. Well, you gotta learn the basics of driving so you don't smash into somebody. So let's talk about strumming. Okay, so just as you observed there, Brian, yeah, their hand keeps going. So first off, I'm gonna show you what it's a truncated version of what's inside the free course that I'm giving you. Link is in the description of the video. It's also at the top of the thread. In that video, in the strumming video, I have a battery that you can print out, a battery of a protocol, if you will, of different strumming patterns. 5 different levels. Each one of those levels has like 4 or 5 different strumming patterns in them. And so what I do is I bring you from super easy up to more complicated, and I cover the gamut, okay? There may be like 20 different strumming rhythms in all. By the end of that, you're gonna not have any issues with strumming following this protocol that I'm gonna show you now. So I'll show you a couple right now, but obviously we won't go through them all. I'll save that for you for the course, okay? So, Brian, the basic idea that we must get across when we're talking about strumming that fixes like everything is when we have a downbeat, which is when our foot hits the ground, we should be strumming down. And when our foot comes up, which is called an upbeat, that's when we have an up strum. So if the beat goes 1, 2, 3, 4, then what you're seeing, what you're hearing is the downbeat. 2, 3, 4. The reciprocal of the downbeat is the upbeat. And it's when my foot comes up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And you could think about strumming in that same way. So we were going 1, 2, 3. And you can do this with me too, Brian. What I want you to do is everybody take your hands, take your strumming hand and lay it on the strings as light as a feather. You almost want to think about it like a sponge, like it's just absorbing the percussive bit here that I'm doing. We don't want to hear this or a chord for right now, okay? We just want to do this. And you're going to tap your foot for 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so tap your foot and strum down on the downbeats. Okay. Now, if you notice, you're doing this already. You're not strumming on the upbeats, okay? But your hand is passing by the strings. So if you're doing this already, Brian, you're doing what the pros are doing when you've seen them just keep strumming, okay? What we're doing is we're just hitting on the down strums or the down beats, okay? We're down strumming on the down beats. And for the up beats, we're not even hitting the strings. We're just going right past them. But our hand is strumming past the strings. So if we wanted to hit the strings on the upbeat, we would just let our hand let that pick hit the strings. So if you notice, down strum is happening on the down beat, and the up strum's happening on the up beat. Now, if we just get that idea right there and stick to that 100%, then everything else after this will make total sense. So for instance, let's do this. Let's go, so by the way, you have 2 strums down, by the way, if you've done this with me so far. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, which is the very first strum I show you on that sheet that's in the free course that's at the top of this chat or in the description of the video. So you got that, and then you have the second one, which is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And by the way, these are straight beats, right? This is a straight beat. If we wanted to swing it or give it a shuffle, it would sound like this. So it's like long, short, long, short, long, short, long. It's just a different feel. So the strumming isn't going to change, but a straight beat is even. Each note is even. There's no long, short, long. It's just bump, 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 bump. Okay, that's called a straight beat. Okay, and so now here's is where it gets a little bit dicey. Little bit. I mean, literally a little bit. So let's take out number 4. Okay. Actually, well, let's take out the and of 4. Since we've taken out ands already, that's not going to be an issue. So if we did this, we said 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now my hand keeps moving. Why? Because if it doesn't, this is what will happen. Watch. 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and now I'm all cattywampus. Now I'm off of the beat. Now I'm strumming down where I should be strumming up and strumming up where I should be strumming down. We don't want to do that. We want to always keep our hand moving for multiple reasons. Number one, we want the down beats and the down strums to be in tandem, and we want the up beats and the up strums to be in tandem. And we want to keep, as if we're a metronome, we want to keep that hand moving. And if you keep that hand moving, it's like when you go watch a relay race, which I do all the time. No, I don't. But you remember in high school, right? Track, relay race with the baton. The person is waiting for the other person to run up to them. They don't just stand there and then they're like, here's the baton, and then the other guy runs off. No. The guy sees the baton coming, he starts running. And the guy with the baton runs up to him and hands it off to him. Why? Because if everybody keeps their momentum, it's as if they never stop. Same thing here. If you think about the strumming, if you just keep going, your momentum, you're not going to be weird. You're not going to, the strumming isn't going to be like off rhythm. You're going to be in the flow of things, right? So you break the flow when you stop. So what we want to do is we want to keep that hand moving all the time. So, and you did it when you were doing this, right? Because watch. And my hand's coming up, but it's not hitting the strings. But if I decided to hit the strings, I'm not doing anything different other than connecting with the strings. I'm not cutting my strum in half, right? Hands moving the same bit. So if we said 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and think about pulling that hand up. If you can get this, you can get them all. Okay, so do it with me. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? And so what I do in that course that I'm giving to you for free, in that strumming rhythm bit, in that sheet, we'll take out some of the ands first and get you attenuated to that, or get you used to that, okay? Which is easier than taking out the downbeats. So here's what you do for the downbeats, okay? Because you'll get to them and you'll be like, oh, that's a different story. It feels a little bit weird. So what I want you to do is, there's a tendency with the downbeats to stall, to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. There's a tendency to stall. So what I say is, take your hand and hit your knee. or hit the bottom of your guitar. Do something that makes you put your hand down to the bottom part of your guitar. So like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so I'm just tapping 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So if we left out the 4, do it. In fact, if you do it right now, as I'm looking for another question here, you're probably going to have difficulty. If you've never strummed before, you're going to have difficulty with this, okay? And then try it the way that I said. So try it yourself first, and we're going to look. And then we're going to get into it, okay? All right, we got other questions here, so we're going to get to them. Just one second here. So Brian, that's what you're going to do. So 1 and 2 and 3 and tap. And 1 and 2 and 3 and tap. And you can also hit your knee, your thigh, or something like that. Now, within a minute or two of doing this, you're not going to have to do it anymore. Just go lighter when you tap. And then eventually you just won't have to do it at all, because you're building, in real time, you're building neural paths, just like you do nonstop all day long when you're learning something new. Okay, so you're going to be doing this, and you're going to start building a groove, and then that's how you develop your strumming. That's how every guitar player develops strumming. Maybe not using my method here, but some sort of method. They're going to develop it by that repetition and by putting 2 and 2 together and realizing, okay, the down strum should be the down beat, and etc. Okay, good stuff. Brian, if that did not help, or if you need more help there, let me know. I know about Dean, about acoustic guitars. I don't. Analog Kid, UGS Pro is the way to go. Here's my thing, Matt. Watch the first video, the first couple videos that are in the free program that I'm giving you. Top of the chat, you'll see it. It's like YourGuitarSage.com/30. Second link in the description of the video on YouTube. Okay. And I talk about finding how to find a great acoustic guitar, how to find a great electric guitar, and how to think about that without having to know a ton of stuff about guitar woods and brands and this, that, and the other thing. You don't necessarily need to know that at first. In fact, sometimes that can be a bit distracting. What you need to know is, how does it sound? How does it feel? And I go over that. Watch those videos, and that'll help with your decision if you're planning on getting a Dean guitar, okay? Okay. I'm going to try to pronounce this right. Svetlana Stankovic is saying, hi, you're a great teacher. Please help. Okay, I'm going to try. When I'm playing scales, it's not fluid. It always sounds staccato, which is funny because I have a whole lesson on that inside this free program that I'm giving you. This is what I'm saying. The reason that these questions sound like they're taken right out of the program is because when you teach 10,000 something one-on-one lessons, you get the same questions over and over and over and over again. And so you start realizing, well, everybody is running into these, or the majority of the people are running into these problems. So why not make a course that's going to help all these people, right? That's what this course is all about. So, so I have a lesson specifically on this, and I'll give you a brief of it here because I won't spoil it, and you got the whole video there for you. But essentially, it's like staccato versus legato. And it's about how to play your notes more legato, because in the beginning, that's what we do, is we go. Right? That's staccato. Legato is, think about legato like leg, like smooth legs. If you shave your legs like I do, I don't. But if I did, they'd be smooth. Legato, right? Or think of staccato, like stick, like you're getting a stick in the eye, or a stiletto heel, right? Pointy heel. So that's how I differentiate the two in my mind. And so we want them to be nice and smooth, right? And so this is what you want to do. What you're doing is you are plucking the note, and then you're basically lifting your finger up. Let me see if I can show you this. What you're doing is you are, let's see if I can do this. Basically, when you pick, you're lifting your finger up off, or you're lifting the string off of the fret. So your finger isn't necessarily coming off of the string, but you're lifting the string off of the fret. So don't do that. So what I want you to do is I want you to pluck it and then bring the next finger around. Keep the pressure on that first finger. Then play the next note. Keep the pressure on that pinky before moving to the next note. Keep the pressure on that first finger before we're moving to the second note. Keep the finger pressure on before moving to the next note, and so on and so forth. So when you're doing this at first, it's going to feel awkward, as does every new thing that you do, right? It all feels awkward because you're learning it, because the neural paths aren't there. But you had an aha moment where you said, this isn't right, and I want there to be this neural path, but there's not. It's kind of like if you're like, man, here's this city over here and this city over here, where there should be a highway. And that's you saying there should be a highway, but the highway isn't built yet. So the highway gets built when we slowly sit down and we start planning it out, right? And we start going, okay, well, it needs to look like this. And in short time, I mean, probably within a minute or 2, 3, 5 for sure, it's going to start making sense and you're going to start playing it right. Now, it won't be second nature at first. You'll still have to think about it. But that's how everything is on guitar or just about anything else, right? You're learning how to ride a bike the first time. I don't know of any kid that gets on a bike for the first time and just starts doing a wheelie, right? No, he's like this, right? Breathing heavy, eyes are wide open. He doesn't want to crack his skull, so he's looking all around, right? But then later on, when you start getting good at it, after you've done it a bunch, it becomes second nature and it becomes a subconscious activity instead of a very conscious activity. So right now, any new thing is going to be a conscious activity and it requires lots of brain power and lots of that's the only thing I can think about right now. Later on, you can ride a bike like I do. My kid's on the back, I'm listening to music, I'm waving to people, that sort of thing. But at first, you're not going to do that, right? At first, you need all faculties, everything focused on this specific task until it goes into your subconscious. And the only way to get it into your subconscious is to do it over and over again, okay? Jeffrey's saying, do you have an ear training course or suggestion in training our ears? Okay, for those who are inside the Unstoppable Guitar System, search EAR, E-A-R. I have a whole program inside of there that's going to help direct your ear and show you how to get started with this and how to develop your ear, okay? I have some videos on YouTube. Search YourGuitarSage ear. Otherwise, I'm going to just show you one to start off with. And to me, it's the most valuable one. And it's to just hum a note. I call it hum and hunt. And so if I just go, now that was luck. But I say luck because it was kind of luck, and it also has to do with experience, right? So I knew, I knew it wasn't a super low note, and I knew it wasn't a super high note. It felt about like there, and I was right. So, but let's say let me pick another note. Sorry, morning voice. There you go. So what did I do there? Well, I said, I hit this note, and does that note sound higher or lower? This is all part of the game, by the way, the hum and hunt game. So I hum a note, and I say, well, that note's higher. How do I know it's higher? Well, I can think about it like a set of stairs, and I can go, it's harder for me to sing. Whatever you need to do to observe whether that note's higher or lower. Some of you, it's going to feel, it's going to be more obvious than others, just because we all have different experiences in life, and we use our brain differently and our ears differently, and this, that, and the other thing, okay? If you're exposed to lots of music and stuff growing up, it's going to be easier for you. If you weren't exposed to a lot of music growing up, it's going to be a little bit more difficult only because of your experience. That's it, okay? So, I can hear it's lower. So what I did is I moved chromatically, which means one note at a time on one particular string, okay? So very important, when you're playing this game, Move one fret at a time. Don't jump around. Yes, you're going to have your initial guess, but after that, then you say, okay, so that note's higher. The note that I'm playing is higher, and the note that I'm singing is lower. So that means I need to go lower. So I'm going to take whatever note that I'm playing and go lower. So I'm going to go in half steps or one fret at a time. Now I find it. Okay, that's called hum and hunt. That's the number one thing. If you can't do that, you know, hearing chords, hearing scales, playing licks and stuff is not going to be possible. You got to be able to hear one note before you can hear two notes. You got to be able to juggle one ball before you can juggle three balls, right? So it's a progression. So you learn this, you'll get better and better at this. Do this a bunch, and then start picking out melodies, right? Well, the only way for me to play Happy Birthday to You is to find that first note. Then I can find the other notes pretty easily. Also, I'm using the major scale structure there because the major scale constructs 99.9% of all the music out there, even songs that are in a minor key, because a minor key is a derivative of the major key. You'll learn that in my programs, but just know that the minor scale is a derivative of the major scale. It's just played a different way. It's just, instead of played from 1 to 1, it's played from 6 to 6. That's it. If you're counting the notes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Jeez. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So that's A major. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. If I wanted to play it from 6 to 6, it would be minor. 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So there it is, major. You can see the minors hidden in there, okay? So that's the difference between major and minor. So Jeffrey, yes, I do have some stuff like that. Search on YouTube, search Your Guitar Sage Ear, and if you're inside of UGS, obviously that's where the premium content is. Just search ear in there. And by the way, for those that are just joining us, top of the chat, you'll find 2 links. One is to my Blues Rhythm Mastery course, which is going away at midnight today. It's 67% off. 9 hours of support from me, 3.5 hours of lessons, 120 blues jam tracks with the guitars taken out, video, video jam tracks, tablature, Q&A, just the whole 9 yards. Follow that link if you want to know more about that. Otherwise, if you're new to guitar, I wouldn't start there. I would start at the course that I'm giving you for free, my gift to you, 36 of the most influential videos that you're ever going to watch. I've had hundreds of thousands of people go through this program. It's absolutely changed their lives. In fact, if it's changed your life, in the chat there, just put 30 and you'll know what that means, okay, when you see that. That's in the chat, top of the chat. Also in the description of the video, you're going to see 2 links. The second link is to the 30-day challenge, or what we call the UGS Standard Guided. It's a 30-day walkthrough. You can't mess up in this, friends. You cannot mess up in this. Watch video 1, then watch video 2. Each day it will unfold for you, and by the end of 1 month, you're going to be like, dear Lord, that guy taught me how to play guitar. At least you'll have the basics down, okay? Which there's a ton of guitar players who've been playing for years that don't have the basics down, okay? Okay, my biggest problem with strumming is keeping a hold on the pick after 4 or 5 bars. It goes flying. So here's the thing you can do, Keith, and I have a video for this inside that program, is get yourself some different picks with different gauges. So you want some thinner picks, because if you don't have that, then I should be adding these to the broadcast so you guys can see them. You should be using a thinner pick, at least in the beginning, because it's going to make it so much easier and you won't have to bother with it flying out of your fingers. Later on, you can get thicker picks like I'm using here as your technique gets better. Okay, but that is a common problem. Everybody runs into that at first, okay? Pato26, hello from UK. Hello, love your content. Can you give advice, thank you, for someone struggling with bar chords? How long before my hand and arms stop hurting? Okay, that's a great question. I don't have a capo here, but here's what I would suggest for you to do, Pato. This is a little bit of, I say a cheat, but or a crutch or whatever, you know, don't judge that, because others will judge it for you because there's plenty of people with egos on the internet. Believe it or not, I found them. And so what you do is you put a capo on the guitar, and what it does is it presses the strings down already, so that when you do go to playing your bar chord, it's so much easier. And here's the problem is that, you know, whenever people are talking about bar chords, they use words like struggling and frustrated and what have you, right? So it's that feeling, and that emotion sucks. No one loves that struggling, frustrated feeling. No one loves it, okay? And so because of that, it's discouraging. But if you can be encouraged by putting that capo and then actually being able to play and go, oh, look, I can play it. I just need to build a little bit more strength or a little bit better technique. Then, my friend, you will be set. Your sales, you'll have wind in your sales and you'll be good. Also, Pato, what I would suggest is, and I talk about this in the free course that I'm giving to you today, I talk about finger inventory and keeping up with what do you actually need to move, how do you need to move your fingers for specific chords and that sort of thing. And that's going to help you understand that you may be doing more work than you need to. Another resource for you is on YouTube. If you're not inside my lessons or you don't want to take advantage of the free course, then search YourGuitarSage bar chords, and I will teach you, or actually, sorry, YourGuitarSage effing F chord, E-F-F-I-N-G, F chord, effing F chord, because I had so many people having problems with the F chord. We call it the effing F chord, and I show you how to play that. And it's basically, you're going to break the, you know, if you have a 6-string chord, what you're going to do is you're going to break it down into 2-string bits. We won't go into the technique right now because it'll take 10 minutes to go over, and I have a lesson for you for it. And then you'll go over 3-note bits. And then you'll go over 4-note bits. And then you'll go over 5-note bits. And then finally, 6 notes. But by doing this, it's kind of like going to school. If someone just gave you a senior thesis in kindergarten, you go, I don't know what to do, where are my crayons? Right? Because that's what you're used to doing is coloring, writing your name at that point, right? So, but by going up, by graduating one grade at a time, it's very rewarding, you know. And if you do the same with anything, with any process, you're going to get great at it. So by taking the moment, doing it step by step, and learning things in order, which is the way I do everything. I don't like doing anything not in order, okay? If you're trying to learn something, it makes it so much easier if you learn things in order, right? You don't learn division before you learn addition, subtraction, multiplication, right? You learn those things first. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, typically is the way you do it. And if you don't do it that way, then division is just going to seem crazy. You're going to be like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So do that. It's so much easier, okay? So with that being said, your strings may be high, maybe higher than they need to be. I would take your guitar to a luthier or have a few guitar player friends play that guitar and see and ask them, say, is my action too high? That's how high your strings are. Say, is my action too high? And if everybody's like, no, plays fine, then it's probably fine. If they're all like, yeah, it's a bit high, then you may be working harder than you need to. Thinner strings might help. Having the guitar adjusted down, having the strings adjusted down will help. So there's all sorts of things you can do there, but I give you lots of things you can do there. The capo, and then actually learning to use the proper technique, which takes repetition and time, right? All that will help. Hello, Sonia. Good to see you. Erich is saying, do you believe it's better to practice more on the acoustic rather than on the electric guitar due to the fact that the fret has to be more precise, harder to make the notes ring out? I don't think there's one that's better, Erich, but I do think that it's kind of like this. It's like if you swim and you swim with a drag, like with clothes on or something like that, it's harder. So mentally, you know, if you can get through that, then when you're competing and you put Vaseline on your body and you jump in the water and you swim like an eel, then it's just like psychologically it's going to be so much easier, right? So there's that part, which some people, when they train, they'll go high up into the mountains or they'll wear a mask to limit their oxygen, because what that does is it forces the body to use the minimal amount of oxygen that it's getting and to be more optimized with it. So now when you do throw more oxygen at it, it's like you're a superhero. So there is some truth to that, you know what I mean? Okay. Sandy's saying, love those strumming sheets. Every student should have those. Thank you, Sandy. And every student could have those. They're free. At the top of the chat, you can get them for free. YourGuitarSage.com/30. Also, the link is in the description of this video. You have 36 of the most powerful lessons you're ever going to use with the PDFs and everything. And I answer questions for you. Like, you'll have access to me. So why wouldn't you do that, right? It's for free. Indeed, DeBear Fan 85. Thank you so much. Yeah, hit that like button and share, friends. Thank you. I've used those Black Mountain picks. They sent me a few, and I like them. They're pretty cool. How can I add a triplet to normal strumming without disturbing this flow? Well, you know, here's the deal. By nature of the triplet, it's 3 instead of 4, so it's not symmetrical. So how can you do that without disturbing the flow? You can't really, unless you're strumming in triplets. If you're just strumming in triplets, like triplet, 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 triplet. But my emphasis on one is on the up strum, and next time it's on the down strum, right? Triplet, 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 triplet. Right? Play enough Iron Maiden, then that. Right, so we got triplets there, but can you do that while you're strumming, 4? You'd have to just be playing triplets like straight like they did. They committed to it, right? Triplet, 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 triplet. But doing them along with the 4, no, there's not a way to do that without disturbing the flow, because that's the whole point, is that you're disturbing the flow, right? A triplet it's asymmetrical in regards to in regards to the symmetry that, say, like something in 2 or 4 or 8 or 16 would be in, right? Please cover string bending. It isn't working for me. Okay, well, so, when we're bending strings, and so here we are with some blues stuff, right? So when we're bending a string, some people will ask, and I'm sorry, I should have been putting up those different comments. Sorry for not paying attention. A lot of things oh, good. I pronounced her name correctly. Good, thank you. Okay, so when we're bending, let's talk about this. So when we bend, a lot of people say, well, how do you know what note to bend to? Well, we're using our ear, but if you wanted to, you could always slide up to the note that you want to bend to, play it, and then bend up to it. Now that's how to do it by pitch, right? But something else, Susan, that we need to discuss is, what finger are you using to bend? How thick are your strings? So these are 8ths, and I've recently gone to 8ths instead of 9s, and that was a nice, I say recently, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. That's recent for me. So that was really nice. So if your strings are too thick, and they may just not be very comfortable to play. So choosing a thinner string is helpful. Also, when we bend, we typically bend with our 3rd finger. I would say that's the first one that we bend with the most. And then I would say probably the pinky would be next, then the 2nd finger, and then the 1st finger. Probably in that order. But dear Lord, the amount of bending that I do with my 3rd finger is probably like 95% of the time, whereas 5% on the other fingers. And I'd say that's true for probably most guitar players, right? So if I'm That's a little bend. I mean, that was all this finger right here, you know? That's all this finger. So get that guy developed, and whenever he's bending, Big Brother here can help out. You always want to add another finger, maybe even 2 fingers there, you know what I mean? And they're just more supporting. This is the guy that's bending, but these guys are helping out. I would never bend a string like this by itself. Neither would any of my other buddies who play guitar. It's just, you don't do that. You do this. So they dig in, all 3 of those guys are right in line there, and they're all helping out. Make sense? Okay, let me know if that's what you mean, like you just can't bend, where it's difficult, or if you're talking about pitch, or just what? That was Susan's. I should have put that up there. There we go. Yes, thank you to Barre fan. Yeah, the F and F chord, that's it. Okay. Drew is saying, hey Eric, I meant to ask you this in UGS. We just had a live broadcast inside of UGS for just our Unstoppable Guitar System folks, which is one of the fringe benefits to being inside the program, okay? So do you have any guitars with stainless steel frets? And have you ever had to replace the frets on one of your guitars? So I've only had to refret one guitar, and it's my 1965 Strat, the one that's over there, that has a buzzy fret right now. But I had to have that refretted because that guitar had been played quite a bit before I bought it. So that's fine. And so that doesn't diminish the value of a guitar. That's like if you had a 1957 Chevy and you changed the oil filter on it. That's not going to affect the car. You can change the oil filter. No one wants a stinky old 1957 oil filter. All right? No one wants a 1965 Strat that sounds amazing and plays great with old frets that you can't play it, right? It doesn't, because of the frets. But I have not used stainless steel, no. Have I used stainless steel? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Titanium is what I'm thinking about. I've wanted to have a guitar with titanium frets because they just don't wear out. But stainless steel, I don't know. I don't know what's, I thought that's what's standard, so I could be wrong. But I have on my 1965, had to have that done. It was like 150 bucks, something like that. Oh, beautiful. Here's our friends that have gone through the 30. Man, I'm way behind on these, on this chat thread here. Lots of 30s in here. Okay, good. Beautiful. Thank you. Grant is saying, hey, Eric, years ago, well, let's get this on the broadcast here. Eric, years ago, you talked about how to strum an electric guitar and make it not sound muddy. Can you play through an entire song with an electric with open chords to make it sound good? Well, yeah, I won't play through an entire song, but let me do this. So what I mean by that is it has less to do with the strumming, it has more to do with the notes that you choose. So, you know, if you play a G chord, let's take out a little bit of that grit. Oh, sorry, I picked I picked volume there. Here we go, hold on. We need a little bit of grit, otherwise it's... Okay, so if we were to play an open G chord, it sounds like that. That's kind of nasty sounding to me. But if I leave out the 5th note, it sounds a little bit better to me. As opposed to... So the voicing has everything to do with it, especially if you have 2 lower voices that are very close to each other. So this G chord sounds muddier than this one. arguably, but I wouldn't play either one of those. I'd play this one. Because this lowest note and the next lowest note are kind of far away from each other, as opposed to these two being very close to each other. That's where the mud comes in. So if I was playing a C chord, I might play something like that instead of a... It's a different flavored chord, but it's still a C chord. So this is where we start choosing our voices. I also might take that note out by muting it. So I might play... See how that sounds a lot brighter, a lot clearer, as opposed to... So take out that note by muting the fourth string, you know? So choosing what notes it is that you want to play is going to be helpful, and especially those lower notes. If they're too close to each other, they just don't sound good. So thirds are going to be closer to each other than, say, a fifth. These are closer to each other. And the closer a note is to each other, the more muddy they get, right? That's why that's kind of the preferred power chord sound. You know, it's, I mean, that is a power chord, but that's why people prefer power chords when they're playing rock music, is because you play the 1 and the 3, it doesn't sound as good. All right? But yes, I have a lesson on that inside of I have one inside of UGS. I also have one on YouTube as well. It's not quite as detailed, but there you go, okay? For those of you just joining us, we're gonna go about another, I don't know, another 5-6 minutes, something like that. Want to get your questions answered, so if you have any, please let me know. Otherwise, take advantage of the links that I'm giving you today. The blues course you'll see at the top of the chat and in the description of the video. That's going away at midnight tonight, 67% off. 3.5 hours of blues content with PDF support, with GPX support, 9 hours of live interactive time with me, 120 blues jam tracks with the guitars taken out so you can practice what it is that you just learned. Visual jam tracks, we go over 20 songs in detail, the chord progressions, the variations of the chord progressions, the guitar parts, whole 9 yards. We've already had a ton of folks join this up already, and they're already loving it. Okay, so there's that. And then also, if you're new to guitar, I wouldn't start at the blues course. I would start with a 30-day challenge. YourGuitarSage.com/30, links at the top of the chat. It's also in the second link in the description of the video. It's 36 of the most powerful guitar lessons you'll ever experience. And I truly mean that. That's why I put them out there, because they will move you the most. And I've had hundreds of thousands of folks go through that already, and it's absolutely changed the way that they play and the way that they think about guitar. I came up with this because after teaching for like literally, well, it's coming up on 4 decades now. But after several decades of doing this and teaching, you know, over 10,000 one-on-one lessons, I developed a method, because I'm such a hacker. Like, I want to be efficient, not a hacker, but I like efficiency, and I want to help people get to where they want to get to as quickly as possible with the least amount of pain as possible. There's going to be a little bit of pain. That's okay. There is. Anytime we're trying to do something new, but the least amount of pain, let's get there as quickly as possible. That's what that's all about. Okay. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Yes. Indeed, indeed. I'm hearing you, Cameron. Yeah, Sylvain is saying, I have small fingers. Should I buy a kid guitar? So for kids, I always have them start off on a ukulele, just because it's easier mentally, because you got 4 strings instead of 6, and there's some other reasons there too. That being said, unless you have, even if you have super small hands, it really truly has to do with the technique. I know that, now so this is an example of where someone's mind tells them something different, right? I know that's a hard thing to believe, but if you just could imagine that I've literally sat in front of every type of guitar player possible, big hands, small hands, strong hands, weak hands, etc., etc. At the end of the day, it had to do with whether they were practicing or not. It didn't have to do with their hand size. I'd have construction workers come in, big dudes, try to play bar chords and they couldn't play them. And I'd have little kids come in and they were playing bar chords because they were practicing them. So that, at the end of the day, that's what it was really about. You can watch a ton of videos online with little kids playing full-size guitars. So where there's a will, there's a way. Will a smaller guitar help? It'll help a little bit. But honestly, it's a mental hurdle. And if you understand that your practice is going to get you there, that's going to help so much more. You can get a little guitar, you can, but I'm telling you, 95% of your issue has to do with a mental obstacle of thinking that your hands are too small, and then the other 4% is going to have to do with you practicing, or probably more than that, and then with like 1% being that your hands are too small. I do have a video on that. Thank you to Barre fan for letting us know. Yeah, exactly. How do you play an F chord? Learn to use a capo. Use your brain instead of your fingers. Can do that for sure. Like what Grant says there too. Yep, there are some different shaped necks. It's true as well. But at the end of the day, you're going to learn on whatever it is you're practicing on. Okay. Okay. Susan's saying the other strings get in the way over the top of the bending string. Right, so let's talk about that. So what you got to do is you got to move them out of the way. So when you're bending, do you see those other strings moving? Why are they moving? Because this guy is moving them. Okay? And you notice that they're not on top of each other. You can see that this note right here has some room between that and the string that's above it. Now the other two are touching, but those are because I'm pressing them with this part of the finger. So if your technique is right, how do you get it right, Eric? By practicing. But how do I know when it's right? You'll know when it's right because you won't have that frustration, Susan. You won't be saying, okay, they're bending over the top. And that's okay. If this string comes over the top of your other finger or something like that, I mean, that's fine if you're playing the note. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to practice. You're going to use that fingertip just enough to where you could bend the string, but not enough to where this string slips underneath. Okay, and that takes practice. I mean, it's just, you know, that's why we're here. That's why we practice guitar, because it doesn't just work, right? Okay, okay, good. Okay, I asked this in UGS, but I wasn't clear. If I didn't get the early bird purchase for the blues course, can I purchase the solo bonus that came with that early bird purchase? I don't believe we have that for sale, Eric. I wish I could say that we had it, but it gets too confusing because I've released lots of courses. We've got lots of products, and it gets really confusing. So that was kind of an only early bird special thing there. We do that for folks that are getting in early. I get it. If you miss it, it's frustrating. So I get that. But I'm sorry, I don't think that we have that. I'm pretty sure we do not have that for sale separately. I wish I'd say we do, but we do not. George is saying, Eric, how will the live sessions in the blues course work? Similar to the UGS calls, George? Yes, you'll get an email from us. So this is something that we're experimenting with. We think that it would be helpful for students. We don't know 100%. We know it will work, but we don't know. You know, we've never done it before, so we don't know what we don't know, I should say. But yes, you'll get an email on it, a special email that'll be like, hey, because of this, boom, come on in. Here are the dates, here are the times, right? Do I have the 30 in a book? Kind of, Sandy. I have a book. It was a bestseller actually on Amazon. It's called Guitar Mastery Simplified, and it is in book form. And it's basically my philosophy on those first few bits when you're learning guitar and just how absolutely important they are, okay? Good. All right, I know we're over our time, but I just want to get these last few here, okay? I can't play guitar, and now you can too. Question, practice focus for intermediate. I feel I can go down the rabbit hole on learning triads, arpeggios, but not in context, but spending months on songs. I feel I'm missing learning theory, okay? So this is what I would say to do, because I know you're in the program. Start in the theory section that's in intermediate. Only if you've gone through the beginner section first. You know, that's my prescription for everybody. Go through the beginner section. I don't care if you've been playing for 80 years. Go through the beginner section first, because I can't tell you how many people who have even been playing longer than me have gone through the beginner section and they go, why didn't someone ever teach me this? This absolutely revolutionized the way I do blank. And so I get that a lot. So go through that. There's a reason that I created that course so systematically and so foundationally, right? So that being said, go through that, but then you know how I have the course broken out, intermediate and advanced, and then in each one of those we've got technique, we've got theory, we've got chords, we have scales. So go through intermediate theory first, okay? Sorry, I should have put that on the screen, my friend. Okay. Okay, this is a great question. Matthew's saying, I am completely self-taught and play any song thrown my way. Good. So Matthew's developed a really good ear. And this, you know, if it were me, my choice is if you know music theory or you have a good ear, I'd prefer someone to have a good ear. But having both is way more valuable than just having one. Just knowing music theory is valuable. Not having a good ear with it, it's going to limit you. Having a great ear is awesome. You can do lots of different things with it. Not knowing what you're doing, it's not going to help you so much sometimes. Your ear will tell you some things, but the knowing how is also valuable. So do both. Matthew's asking. But I have zero guitar theory knowledge. Where would you suggest I start so I could play with others comfortably? Matthew, it's a great question. Start with the free course that I have for you, because I promise you, even though you're going to know a lot of that stuff because of your ear, there's lots of stuff you're not going to know. And it's going to be so cool because you know this stuff already by ear. Now you're getting labels, right? So if you ever like experience something and then somebody says, oh, you're experiencing blank. And you go, really? Oh man, I've been doing that for years or whatever, you know? Meditations, I do certain things in my meditations and I'm like, man, I'm seeing like lights and stuff sometimes when I close my eyes. Oh, well, you're releasing DMT. And I'm like, that's so cool to know that, right? I didn't know what it was before. I just thought, I don't know, my mind was playing tricks on me, didn't know. Now it's helpful to know that. So Matthew, go through that first, and then I've got tons of theory stuff for you inside of UGS Pro, tons that will help with all sorts of things. But one step at a time, start there. And if you have issues when you're in there, let me know. If you need more direction in there, let me know. I'm here for you, okay, bud? Great question. Okay. Yep, and then Matthew, okay, we doubled up there. I'm self-taught. Okay. Yeah. All right, my friends, that is it. We've gone over a little bit today, but I love these so much. Friends, take advantage, if you haven't already, hit that link. Take advantage of the 30-day challenge. If you've been through that already, I suggest that for everybody. If this is the first video that you've ever watched of mine, I would suggest you going through that anyhow, okay? Because I promise you it's going to fill out some holes for you. If you're a blues player and you've already gone through the beginner section of UGS, take advantage, and you want to learn blues, take advantage of the blues course. It's going away at midnight tonight, 67% off, 3.5 hours of content. You got tabs, you got GPX files, you got 9 hours of interactive Q&A support with me on this. I charge one-on-one lessons, I charge $300 an hour, so you do the math. Even though we're not going to be one-on-one, it's going to be a small group like this, okay? So that in and of itself is worth a lot of money. 120 jam tracks with the rhythm guitar taken out so you can practice what you've done. There's video jam tracks. It's loaded with stuff. Follow that link. Take a look there. Get it. Take advantage before midnight. If you don't like it, friends, you have 60 days to get out. I'll give you 100% of your money back like I do with all my products. I want happy customers. I don't want to hold anybody ransom like AT&T or Comcast or any of these bogus companies. If you're watching AT&T and Comcast, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I want happy customers. So 60-day money back guarantee, that should give you enough time to get in there and get your feet wet. If you will do the whole thing and you're like, I'm just gonna get my money back, whatever, that's okay. Okay, do what you need to do. I'm here for you. Please let me know how I can help. Love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know. Only way I can help you is if you're in the program or if you're following me. So either subscribe, like, well, those don't do much these days. Follow one of the programs that I've got for you, because in there I can at least help you out, okay, and get to your questions and that sort of thing. So love you. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you inside the course. Bye.